What should the next episode be about? Skinwalker. Skinwalker Ranch. Animal mutilation. Giant bulletproof wolves. Poltergeist activity. Skinwalkers. Portals to other dimensions. UFO sightings. Cryptids. There's so much information here. I think I'm gonna be up all night. Stop. Oh, I fell asleep. So, my plans have changed just a little bit. Originally, I wanted to go to a skate park that was unfortunately next to an airport, so I didn't think about that. The sound from the airport was ruining the shots, and they were doing construction. I went there to see the river behind me, and you couldn't see anything. So I've come to a place I've never been to, next to the river. This is probably not the best place to come wearing shorts. So, Skinwalker Ranch is a very, very strange place. Now, before we get into the ranch, let's talk about what a skinwalker is. Skinwalkers are shapeshifters, common in Native American lore, and honestly, they're common in most lore from around the world. In many cultures, you can find the idea or the concept of a shapeshifter. Now, in theory, skinwalkers look just like you and me. They are witches, powerful witches, that have chosen to be a skinwalker. Guys, look at this place. I'm like in Jurassic Park. Now, some people may associate skinwalkers and lycanthropes, or better known as werewolves. But that is more of a curse, and like I said, the skinwalker chooses to be a skinwalker. I can't get over how magical this place is. There's so much wildlife. I never thought I'd find anything like this. This just goes to show that the universe is an amazing place. Like, the universe is listening. I needed a place to film that's safe. And this is it. This is perfect. All the bugs, they're coming to life because the sun's going to set soon. I'm going to fall. Look at the floor here. Let's think for a second how powerful an occult practitioner would actually have to be in order to get to this point. To the point where they can shapeshift on command. In theory, if magic were real, or if magic is real, better said, they would probably be very powerful. Southeast of Ballard, Utah, you can find Skinwalker Ranch, a piece of land that was supposedly cursed by the Navajo, leaving there a shape-shifting demon. A skinwalker. And that curse was just the beginning, to say the least. So low-key, the camera just fell, and I have no idea how that happened because it was on a flat surface. That's a bit weird, but let's continue. Yo, I just heard something move back there. I'm alone on this trail, so it is a bit creepy. And since I'm filming my face, I can't look down at the floor for snakes. The Sherman family, aka the Sherman family, lived on this ranch in the 90s and had a lot to say about it. Terry Sherman, the father of the family, claimed to find imprints in his fields, circular imprints, and even a large triangle imprint, also known as crop circles. His livestock began disappearing. There's even a story of a cow walking through a snowstorm, which is strange already, and actually vanishing into thin air because when they followed the trails in the snow the next day, they disappeared. They stopped under a tree. And in order for that to happen, the cow would have to have been lifted, or lifted into the air, some may say. You may also be thinking maybe somebody in a truck came and picked it up. But I think the truck would leave tracks as well in the snow. There was definitely some magic at play when finding this location because, like I said, I had no idea this place even existed, and this is the best location I've ever found so far. So a normal cow weighs from 1,000 to 1,800 pounds. Now tell me, what could lift that in a snowstorm? Now there was numerous amounts of cattle mutilation cases on the ranch. One that really stood out to me was a story that actually had to do with the son of the Shermans, the teenage son. He was, left in Angus alone for a minute. I think that's what they call him. And in a few minutes, he came back and he found the cow completely cored out from its butt, or its rectum, or whatever you want to call it. Completely cored out. Now, no wild animal that I know can do this. What do you guys think? Both Terry and Gwen Sherman claim to see orbs and unidentified flying objects in the sky above their property, sometimes as low as 50 feet above the tree line. Should I go to the river? That's a mosquito. Oh, a mosquito just bit me in the face. They also claimed that in the sky, above their property, portals would open up, and the craft would come out the portal and then leave through another portal. So they were almost using these portals as doorways, but doorways from where? Now, another interesting story that Terry told was that he and his son were in the field or on the property, and they heard voices, but the voices were in the air. Like, the voices were there, but they couldn't see where the voices were coming from. So Terry yelled to the voices, "I can hear you!" And the voices stopped talking. There was this one voice that actually chuckled when he interrupted them. And then they just continued talking. Terry and Gwen saw a object blink into existence on the property. And I've heard different versions of this. And one of the versions, or most of the versions I've heard, say that it looks sort of like a trailer. But the weird thing is that inside of this object, there was a 7-foot tall being dressed in all black. Now, just like the object blinked into existence, it blinked out of existence. Oh, looks like I can't actually go any further here. Now, the Shermans also claim to see orbs on their property. And there's this one story that they tell about this blue orb that got so close to them that Terry actually, described it. He said it looked like a glass, sphere with blue liquid on the inside. And it was moving like if someone were controlling it. It seemed to scan them, scan the house. Now, the sad part of this story is they had 3 dogs, and the dogs actually chased the orb out into the woods. Now, once the dogs disappeared into the woods, they heard yelps, and the yelps got louder until they just stopped. After that, the Shermans went to try to find their dogs because their dogs never came back. And what they did find were 3 circular marks on the floor in the woods, and these marks were burned. They were like, charred marks on the floor, and in the circular burn mark there was this buttery substance. So what it sounds like is that these poor dogs were disintegrated. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if that were to happen to me, I would go all John Wick on the aliens, dude. I would go John Wick on all the interdimensional beings, the upside down, whatever you want to call it, would be in big trouble if they come and mess with my dogs. And you may be asking yourself, okay, all right, so there's orbs, there's UFOs, and, interdimensional portals, but where's the skinwalker? Now, when they first moved onto the property, they said that a wolf that was 3 times the size of any normal wolf, this giant wolf, just calmly walked up to them. So it walks up to them to the point where they actually pet the wolf, which is very strange. I don't think I would ever pet a wolf. Even if it walked up to me, I'd probably just freak out. Now, this wolf, after, coming up to them and getting pet and all that, walks off to where the cattle are, grabs one of the cattle by the head and starts pulling this cattle through the bars, with all its force. It's got this super strong bite. Now, the Shermans claim that they attacked the wolf, obviously, because the cattle is their, that's their business. The wolf can't kill one of their cattle. And they hit it with sticks and they kicked it and punched it and nothing worked. So Terry went and got a Colt 357 Magnum and unloaded on this wolf. He shot the wolf, I think, 2 times. The weird thing is the wolf wasn't even stunned at all by getting hit with the bullets. And there was no blood. So it seemed like the wolf just got tired, of these people bugging him, just gave up trying to take the cow and walked off. Now, Terry and his son followed the wolf's prints out into, the wilderness to try to find this thing and kill it so that it wouldn't come back and eat any more cows. They didn't find it. What they found were the trails that just seemed to lead to nowhere. The wolf disappeared. So after 2 years of high strangeness and all these crazy things happening to the Shermans, their dogs got killed, there was that giant wolf, the UFOs, they decided that it wasn't safe for their kids, to raise their kids there, so they wanted to sell the ranch. Now, unfortunately, there was this legend that it was cursed and all these paranormal things were happening on it, and the Shermans didn't want to sell it to just anybody, seeing as they didn't want to endanger anyone's life. Guess who bought the ranch? Robert Bigelow of Bigelow Aerospace, a very, very rich man that is very, very interested in researching the paranormal. He is the founder of NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Sciences. You better believe that NIDS turned Skinwalker Ranch into a paranormal laboratory. For them, this was a gold mine. So the ranch was closed off, no trespassing signs were put up, scientists and veterinarians were actually moved to location onto the ranch. They were living on the ranch. So NIDS was dedicated to studying this location. They did claim to see UFOs and strange things like the Shermans did. One of the stories that really stood out to me was this case where they saw this sort of ball of light open up that turned into like a tunnel, right? And this was like a few feet off the ground. And they said that they saw a sky on the other side. Now the thing was, it was nighttime and they saw a blue sky on the other side. And out of this tunnel, out of this portal, this hole that just opened up and, a few feet above the ground, walked out this being. It was this dark figure that, according to the people that experienced this, the figure had no face. It just walked out, the portal closed up, and the figure just walked off into the distance, sort of vanished. It's crazy, man. Crazy stuff happened on this ranch. Supposedly, these paranormal things started to stop happening over time. These sightings decreased, and Bigelow actually sold the ranch. Or did he really sell the ranch. I don't know if he sold the ranch or not, because I tried to do some research and find some information on the people that bought the ranch. All I found was that they supposedly bought it in 2016, and it's a real estate company called Adamantium Real Estate LLC. And I find it super interesting that a real estate company would buy this place, seeing as the Shermans had to sell the property to Bigelow at a lower price than they actually bought it. Most people are, religious or afraid of the supernatural and the paranormal, so why would anybody invest into this location? So someone on Reddit actually told me that I should go visit Skinwalker Ranch. Now, from what I found online, it seems almost impossible to get onto that property, and I think the police and the people in the area really hate, people going out there to try to investigate and check the property out. And it isn't the first time that we've actually talked about portals on the channel. We talked about stargates. If there's UFOs flying out of these portals, right? What if they're from another dimension? And we believe that aliens are from space, or the aliens that we're interacting with, the Greys and all that kind of stuff, are from space. But what if this just proves that they're from another realm and not from space? We could talk for hours and hours and hours about Skinwalker Ranch, but what do you guys think was going on at Skinwalker Ranch? Let me know down in the comments what you believe, what you think, and if Mr. Bigelow ever watches this and you can help me to get on the Skinwalker Ranch, or you just want to get into contact with me, I'd be more than happy to meet you. You seem like a cool dude. Thank you for all, the steps you're taking into researching these different subjects. I find it really interesting as well that this sounds almost like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. The Demigorgon sounds a lot like that faceless creature, that black faceless creature that came out of a portal. I had a great time filming this video today. It actually was an adventure. I hope you guys liked it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, introduce yourself down in the comments, and remember guys, the paranormal is normal.